Chosen one, listen closely. Heaven has paused everything around you to deliver this message. December 7 was not just another date on the calendar. It was the moment heaven signed the decree that your enemies would lose access to you forever. The separation you could not make on your own, God Himself enforced. You are stepping into a spiritual quarantine, but not of fear, one of protection, cleansing, and rebirth. Every battle you have fought this year was leading to this divine cutoff. Every betrayal, every rejection, every sleepless night, none of it was wasted. The tears that burned your pillow became the ink heaven used to write your freedom notice. You may not have seen it happen, but in the unseen realm, the cords that tied you to old pain snapped. The hands that once reached for you in envy or manipulation have been bound. December 7 is the marker of your release. You must understand, separation is not punishment, it is preservation. God saw the plans that were being plotted in silence. He heard the conversations behind your back. He felt the heaviness that tried to bury your light. And so, He stepped in. This was not random. It was divine intervention, executed with surgical precision. You were never meant to stay where you were. Heaven saw that the soil beneath your feet had become toxic, so it lifted you up before the poison could spread deeper. The enemies who once accessed your mind through guilt, your emotions through manipulation, and your spirit through discouragement now find nothing but divine fire standing between them and you. The connection line has been severed. Their calls echo into emptiness. You have become hidden in plain sight. Heaven cloaked you in light so brilliant that darkness cannot even recognize your outline anymore. Chosen one, you are not going backward. You are being rerouted to the path that was reserved for you before time began. What once looked like loss was divine subtraction, removing every counterfeit connection. God had to clear the stage because your true calling is about to take center place. Stop mourning those who left. They were never part of your permanent story. Their purpose was to test your discernment, not to accompany your destiny. On December 7, the heavens issued a restraining order against every force that once disturbed your peace. From now on, you will notice a stillness, a silence not of emptiness, but of safety. It is the calm that comes after the storm when heaven whispers, "It is done." This is your Exodus moment. Just as the Israelites walked out of Egypt while their oppressors drowned in the sea behind them, so you walk forward now, untouched, unchained, unstoppable. Listen, chosen one, this moment requires your response. When heaven delivers a decree, the earth waits for agreement. Speak it aloud. I am separated for divine purpose. Declare it in your spirit until your atmosphere aligns with it. This is not the time to shrink back or doubt the move of God. You are no longer who you were before December 7. A spiritual transaction took place. You moved dimensions. You are walking in a realm where the same old tactics no longer work. As Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 28, verse 20, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. That is your guarantee. Chosen one, you are never alone. Heaven's presence does not visit you, it inhabits you. The same power that raised Christ from the dead now flows through your veins, commanding every dark agenda to collapse before it reaches your doorstep. This is why fear cannot hold you. This is why worry cannot drown you. You have become the dwelling place of divine authority. So now, breathe. Let the peace of heaven settle upon you. Lift your head. The war is over. December 7 was the day the verdict was announced in your favor. From this point on, every step you take will echo with victory. Every door that opens will be aligned with destiny. Every person who enters your life will carry divine purpose. The counterfeit connections have been exposed and removed. Your task now is simple: walk in obedience, guard your peace, and protect your focus. The enemy cannot access what you do not offer. Stay hidden in purpose. Let your silence confuse those who seek reaction. Your new language is faith. Your new weapon is worship. Your new assignment is visibility in God's time, not in man's opinion. If this message resonates with your spirit, then act as a prophetic witness. Like, share, and comment the number 777 below as a declaration that you have stepped into divine separation and victory. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because this journey has just begun, and heaven's messages for the chosen ones will keep flowing. The decree stands: your enemies lost access to you forever. You wake now in a silence that feels different, not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of completion. December 7 came like an invisible storm, and while the world went on as usual, heaven made a permanent alteration to your path. What others thought was an ordinary day was, for you, the day the curtain closed. The divine stage manager drew the veil, ending the act that belonged to your old life. Behind that curtain, God rewrote your script, shifting scenes, removing characters, adjusting the lighting so that only what is holy can now find you. Your enemies tried to follow, but they found only walls where there used to be doors. Those who used to track your peace, those who once knew your weaknesses as coordinates of attack, they can no longer locate you. The spiritual atmosphere that once surrounded you has changed frequency. They hear static when they try to tune in. Every word of gossip now bounces off the invisible glass of divine protection, returning to its sender like a boomerang of judgment. You sense it in your spirit. The old connections no longer flow. Messages that once provoked emotion now leave you unmoved. You do not even have the energy to argue. And that is not numbness, it is transcendence. Heaven has upgraded your discernment so that pettiness feels foreign, drama feels heavy, and peace feels like home. You no longer crave validation from voices that never understood your assignment. What they called too much was just the measure of your anointing. When God draws the curtain, He is not hiding you out of shame. He is revealing you differently. Think of how a sculptor covers a masterpiece before its unveiling. That covering is not rejection, it is reverence. You are in that same stage now. Heaven has hidden you because your unveiling will be sacred. The next version of you cannot be revealed to the same audience that mocked your process. God knew they would not handle your resurrection with purity. So He shut the curtain before they could turn your sacred transformation into entertainment. Beloved chosen one, this divine silence is not punishment, it is protection. You are being recalibrated. Your energy is being refined. The presence of God is thick around you, filtering what can and cannot enter. People may call it isolation, but heaven calls it incubation. The seed that was planted in you is sprouting roots beneath the surface. You do not need to announce it. Growth makes noise of its own when the time comes. You might ask why it had to be so sudden, why the curtain closed without warning. It's because hesitation would have led to contamination. God saw the hesitation of Lot's wife. She turned to look back and lost her future. The divine closing had to be abrupt, so you would not be tempted to negotiate with what was meant to die. When heaven moves, delay is dangerous. The moment of closure is mercy disguised as urgency. Look around at your current stillness. It is not absence. It is transition. Behind the curtain, angels are repositioning, setting the stage for what you are about to become. Every tear you cried is being gathered, not wasted. Every disappointment is being rewritten into wisdom. You are learning the holy rhythm of letting go without bitterness. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous, fear not. For the Lord your God goes with you. That is your confirmation. Even behind the curtain, God is with you. Even when no one claps for you, the audience of heaven applauds your endurance. Courage, chosen one, is not the absence of fear. It is obedience in the presence of uncertainty. You do not have to see the full picture to trust the painter. Every time you wonder why God silenced certain voices, remember that noise can drown direction. You needed to hear him without interference. Every time you miss someone who left, remind yourself that God removes who cannot respect your becoming. Every time loneliness whispers that you've been forgotten, know that heaven whispers louder, you have been reserved. December 7 closed the curtain, not as an ending, but as an intermission. The next act begins soon. And this time, the spotlight will fall on a version of you that the world has never seen. You will walk out from behind that veil, carrying power that makes demons scatter, grace that makes broken hearts heal, and authority that even the winds of chaos must obey. Until then, stay behind the curtain with reverence. Let heaven finish its work in private. You are being prepared for visibility that cannot be revoked. Your silence will speak louder than words. Your peace will preach louder than sermons. And your faith will echo louder than any accusation. The curtain closed for your protection, but it will open for your glorification. And when it does, even your enemies will have to admit they lost access, not because you hid, but because heaven promoted you to a dimension they cannot enter. The night after the curtain closed, you felt something shift within you, a strange calm replacing the chaos that once chased you. You didn't know what to call it, but heaven knew. It was the sound of your soul entering divine lockdown. Every open gate that once allowed spiritual intruders to steal your energy, your peace, your joy shut. Every emotional doorway that gave manipulation access to your heart sealed. Heaven moved like a fortress descending from the clouds, surrounding you on all sides. No weapon, no whisper, no word curse could cross that border now. You are protected by design, not by chance. This was not self-defense, this was divine defense. The same God who closed the mouths of lions for Daniel has closed the mouths of those who spoke against you in secret. You are untouchable not because of arrogance, but because of assignment. Heaven has marked your boundaries in fire. There was a time when people could drain you with just a text message, when guilt made you answer calls that led to more confusion. But now silence has become your armor. You are no longer reachable by those who refuse to respect your peace. The Holy Spirit has built a firewall around your emotions, filtering every incoming energy. You are learning that peace is not something you protect, it protects you. And though the lockdown feels restrictive at times, it is, in truth, liberation. You are no longer chained to the need to explain yourself, to be understood, or to seek closure where none exists. God gave you the only closure that matters, the closing of spiritual access. The walls around you are not prison bars, they are palace gates. You are being refined behind royal walls, not confined behind them. The enemy thought he could corner you through isolation, but he miscalculated. This isolation was divinely engineered to cut his connection first. You have not lost access to the world has lost access to you. You walk among people, but you are surrounded by a kingdom frequency. Every move you make is monitored by angels. Every step is recorded as strategy. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 29, verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." That scripture is not comfort, it's confirmation. Heaven's lockdown was a plan, not a punishment. Every delay was divine choreography, aligning you with destiny while confusing the plans of darkness. Even your confusion had purpose. God allowed it so that you would stop leaning on your own understanding. You had to be cut off to be reconnected correctly. Chosen one. Pay attention to this every time you feel tension rising. It's not attack, it's recalibration. Heaven adjusts your atmosphere before elevation. That's why people who cannot handle growth begin to fade. They are allergic to your new altitude. You are being lifted into a realm where their old version of you no longer applies. The gossip that once pierced your confidence now falls flat because your spirit no longer feeds on approval. You were never designed to live with open spiritual borders, without boundaries. Blessings leak. God built this lockdown so that your anointing could finally rest undisturbed. You will notice that your sleep becomes deeper, your dreams clearer, your discernment sharper. That is the result of heaven securing your space. You have entered the peace of divine containment, a sacred quiet where growth happens without noise. But remember, with every wall God builds for your protection, He also builds gates for His purpose. You are not meant to stay hidden forever. The same walls that guard you will soon open to reveal you, but only to those heaven approves. Until then, trust the silence. Don't rush to be seen. Let the world wonder where you went while heaven finishes building who you are. Now, pause here. Chosen one. Feel the weight of this truth. Your enemies are locked out, but you are not locked in. Freedom is not always about movement. Sometimes it is about stillness. The divine lockdown has separated noise from voice, confusion from calling, imitation from identity. What used to exhaust you no longer affects you because heaven changed your access codes. So when fear tries to convince you that you've been forgotten, remind it forgotten by the world means remembered by heaven. When doubt whispers that you're behind, remind it you've been pulled ahead into divine security. The next time loneliness tries to sit beside you, smile and say you're not alone. You're reserved. Heaven sits with you in the quiet. And now, as a prophetic act of agreement, comment these 3 simple words: I am covered. Do it not as ritual, but as revelation. When you declare those words, you are affirming that heaven's shield surrounds you. You are acknowledging the invisible hedge that no enemy can cross. Every letter you type echoes in the spirit realm, reinforcing the decree that December 7 established your protection is permanent. You are no longer vulnerable to the schemes of darkness. The lockdown was not the end of freedom, it was the beginning of dominion. You walk in security, speak with authority, and live under divine surveillance. God has built walls of light around you, and darkness can no longer find the door. The air feels charged around you, now gentle yet heavy, quiet yet alive. Something unseen moves with precision, and though your eyes cannot trace it, your spirit knows. Angels are in motion. They were always near. But December 7 gave them a new command to encamp around you, to guard the perimeter of your destiny. The shift was invisible to the world, but undeniable in the spirit. You no longer walk alone. Heaven has positioned an escort on every side. You may not hear the rustle of their wings, but you sense their presence in the peace that refuses to leave you. Every time you narrowly escape a moment of danger or anxiety that tried to swallow you, it is not coincidence, it is coverage. These are not passive guardians, they are heaven's elite, assigned specifically to your lineage, to your purpose, to your name. Angels move at divine frequency. They are the invisible infrastructure of every miracle. When you suddenly feel prompted to take a different route, or when something delays you without reason, that is often heaven repositioning your steps through angelic intervention. You have been rerouted from traps you never even saw, spared from conversations that could have contaminated your peace, and hidden from those who came with smiling faces but malicious intentions. There are moments you thought you lost opportunities, but in truth, angels intercepted counterfeits before they reached your hands. Heaven does not allow you to receive what will poison your calling. Every closed door is an act of mercy dressed as disappointment. The timing of your miracles has not failed, it has been protected. Angels are the ones ensuring the delivery schedule of heaven remains uncorrupted. You have to understand, chosen one, that the war around your name is not casual. The same light that draws destiny also draws attack. When heaven placed glory on your shoulders, hell responded with strategy. That is why some seasons felt so strange, why friends turned into mirrors of betrayal, why sudden heaviness visited you at night. But now, with the decree of separation issued, the angels stand guard with swords of fire. No spirit of confusion can cross the threshold anymore. It was never that you were weak. It was that the battle around you was high-ranking. The greater your calling, the stronger the resistance. But now, the command center of heaven has moved you under direct protection. God has stationed seraphim at your borders. They do not negotiate with darkness, they annihilate it on sight. You do not have to fight every battle. Some victories are executed by your assigned heavenly military before you even wake. The ancient words recorded in Psalms, chapter 91, verse 11, declare, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." That promise is active right now. Every breath you take, every step you make, every plan you pursue is surrounded by that divine command. You are being shielded even in ways you cannot measure. The enemy has lost the element of surprise because heaven watches before you, beside you, and behind you. Sometimes you wonder why you survived what others did not, why your mind held together when pressure tried to fracture it, why your heart still beats with compassion despite betrayal. It is because angels strengthened you in secret moments. They touched your spirit when despair tried to settle in. They whispered life when your own voice trembled. You may have thought you stood up on your own, but in truth, invisible hands lifted you. You are being escorted now into divine appointments. Angels have already gone ahead to prepare rooms where your name will be mentioned with honor. They are clearing obstacles, dismantling envy, and redirecting influence. When doors swing open effortlessly, remember, it was not luck. It was labor from the unseen realm. There will be moments when your discernment tingles, when you feel that electric stillness before breakthrough. Pay attention. That is the rhythm of angelic motion, the signal that something in the unseen world is being rearranged for your favor. They move in silence, but their impact roars. Chosen one, live with awareness. Speak with reverence. The company around you is holy. The angels that walk with you are not casual companions. They are witnesses of prophecy. Your obedience fuels their mission. Every time you choose peace over pride, forgiveness over bitterness, faith over fear, they strengthen their formation around you. You are surrounded, not by threats, but by light, not by enemies, but by emissaries. Heaven has built a moving fortress around your life, and nothing unclean can penetrate it. Let that truth steady your heart. You don't need to demand vengeance. The heavenly host enforces divine justice. All you need to do is walk forward in alignment, carrying the calm confidence that comes from knowing you are never unguarded. Even in silence, angels march. Even in stillness, heaven strategizes. You are being moved from survival to sovereignty, from anxiety to authority. The same God who commanded angels to move on your behalf on December 7 continues that command every single day. Your safety is not temporary, it is covenantal. You have noticed it by now how the atmosphere around you shifted since December 7. People who once walked confidently in your shadow now stumble in confusion. The tone in their voices changed. The certainty in their speech dissolved. They look at you and see light, but cannot understand it. This is the season of your enemy's confusion. Heaven has scrambled their spiritual coordinates. The same ones who once tracked your peace now wander through fog, searching for the doorway that God permanently sealed. Do not gloat in their confusion. Understand it. When God hides you, He blinds those who tried to follow you. It is not vengeance, it is mercy working in reverse. He confuses them so they might stop chasing, that perhaps they too might look upward for direction instead of sideways for competition. You have been removed from their reach because you no longer belong to the battlefield they chose. Imagine, chosen one, a bird that once nested near snakes but now soars too high for their venom to reach. The air is thinner where you are now, the view wider. Those who dwell in lower realms cannot breathe at your altitude. Their confusion is simply a sign of your elevation. Don't waste breath explaining why you rose. Keep flying. Keep shining. Heaven does not require your apology for its promotion. Their confusion is your confirmation. Every misunderstanding becomes proof that heaven has shifted your frequency. They will try to recall the version of you that no longer exists, but their words will fall into silence. God has rewritten your name in spiritual code. Even if they speak it aloud, heaven responds. Access denied. There is beauty in that confusion, because it gives you space to grow. For the first time, you can hear your own voice without interference. You can see your reflection without distortion. What used to hurt now teaches. What used to scare you now strengthens you. The fog that blinds them has become your cloud of glory. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 1, verse 5, "Look at the nations and watch, and be utterly amazed. For I am going to do something in your days that you would not believe." even if you were told. That is what heaven is doing with you, something unbelievable. The same people who once predicted your downfall will one day watch your divine unfolding and say, "How did this happen?" But you will know. You will smile quietly, because you saw the confusion coming. It is the side effect of favor. Chosen one. When people can no longer interpret your peace, they will label it arrogance. When they can no longer manipulate your kindness, they will call it distance. Let them speak. Let the fog of misunderstanding do its work. God is protecting you from being defined by those who never saw your divine blueprint. You owe no explanation for the light you carry. Like the moon, you reflect a glory that does not originate from you. Some nights you will shine fully. Other nights you will seem dim, but the source never changes. The sun remains constant, even when hidden by clouds. So stay steady. The confusion of others cannot cancel the constancy of God. And in this journey of revelation, there is something sacred about support. Light multiplies when shared. Every act of connection strengthens the chain of faith across hearts and nations. When you like, share, or subscribe, you are not just engaging, you are planting light into someone else's darkness. Think of it as passing a candle across time zones, one heart at a time. And yes, even your giving carries fragrance in heaven. When you sow into a message that awakens souls, you are building wells where others will drink from revelation. To donate is not just to give, it is to partner with the wind of God, to fuel the voice that keeps declaring freedom to those still chained. Your seed becomes a torch that keeps this flame alive. There is a vineyard in heaven where every act of generosity grows into eternal fruit. Every share is a seed, every comment a prayer, every offering a branch stretching toward divine harvest. So, if this word resonates with your spirit, if you feel the warmth of recognition that whispers, "This was for me," then stay connected. Keep the circle of light unbroken, for confusion may surround your enemies, but clarity surrounds you. Peace walks beside you. Purpose speaks within you. You are being guided through the fog, not lost in it. Heaven knows exactly where you stand, even when others do not. Chosen one. Stand tall in this mystery. Let the clouds swirl while you stay still. Those who try to find you in the old places will discover only echoes. You have outgrown their understanding. You are hidden not in darkness, but in brilliance. The fog that blinds them illuminates you. Their confusion is your covenant. And heaven smiles, knowing that its chosen one walks forward, unbothered, unseen, but unstoppable. Something changed deep within you after the fog cleared. It was subtle at first, a warmth in your chest, a new steadiness in your steps. Heaven had not just hidden you, it had marked you. The seal of divine ownership glows over your spirit. And though you cannot see it with human eyes, every force in the unseen realm recognizes it. December 7 was not only your day of separation, it was your day of identification. You were stamped with fire, branded with belonging. Every chosen one carries a mark invisible to man, but unmistakable to heaven. It is the sign that says, "Do not touch." This one belongs to God. The angels recognize it. The darkness fears it. The world feels it, even when they cannot name it. It is why rooms feel different when you enter. Why some people's words fall silent mid-sentence. Why tension dissolves without reason. You are not ordinary presence. You are atmosphere. You carry the frequency of divine fire. Your energy doesn't compete, it commands. And yes, the mark came through pain. Fire never marks gently. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every lonely night was part of the branding. Heaven does not waste suffering, it repurposes it into power. The fire that once burned you now burns through you. Think of gold in a furnace. It glows only after the impurities are forced out. That's you. Heaven turned up the heat not to destroy you, but to reveal the purity hidden underneath the layers of fear and doubt. You were being refined while you thought you were being punished. The hands that allowed the fire also controlled its temperature. God knew exactly how much you could endure without breaking. You are now walking proof that pain can produce glory. The mark you carry is not a wound anymore, it's a weapon. Your scars speak fluent authority. When you enter a room, darkness trembles because it sees not your history but your fireprint. It knows what you survived. It knows it couldn't kill you. That's why it respects you now, even from afar. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus. Chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Those words are your reminder that you never stood in the flames alone. Even when you thought silence meant abandonment, it was strategy. God fights most effectively when you stop striving. The fire was his forge. The stillness was his workshop. He shaped you into something indestructible. Look at yourself now. You walk differently. You pray from deeper wells. You discern quicker, forgive faster, and fear less. The fire did not just change your circumstances, it altered your composition. You are flame-wrapped flesh, spirit-armored, and heaven-approved. This mark also means access. Doors that refuse to open before now recognize the imprint on your soul. It's divine clearance. The right opportunities will no longer require you to strive. They will respond to the code heaven wrote into your name. You'll find yourself favored in places where no explanation makes sense. Invited into spaces your resume didn't qualify you for. That's not luck, it's recognition. But with fire comes responsibility. The mark makes you visible in the spirit. You cannot walk like everyone else, because you're no longer shaped like everyone else. You must guard your purity, your peace, your focus. The same flame that empowers you will also expose compromise. The light on you now demands consistency within you. And yet, don't let that weight feel heavy. Let it feel holy. The mark is not a burden, it's a blessing. You were chosen to carry heaven's signature in human form. The same presence that once filled the temple now rests upon your life. You are a walking sanctuary. So when you sense resistance rising again, don't panic. Fire attracts opposition because it threatens shadows. Keep burning. Keep glowing. You are a reminder that light still wins. And now, as an act of agreement, comment the number 333 below, not as superstition, but as declaration. 333 symbolizes divine alignment, heaven, earth, and spirit in unbroken unity. When you type it, you're saying, I'm in sync with God's timing. I accept the mark. I walk in divine fire. Your comment becomes a signal in the spiritual realm, confirming that you stand sealed, untouchable, and aflame with holy purpose. Remember this, the fire that marked you also anointed you. You are not the same as before December 7. You were reborn through flame, and nothing can unmark what heaven has branded. The days that followed your sealing felt strangely quiet. The noise of the old world faded, and in its place came a sacred stillness, one that at first felt like delay, but was, in truth, divine strategy. Heaven had hidden you under a strategy of silence. While others rushed ahead chasing recognition, God sat you down in secrecy. It wasn't punishment, it was positioning. You were being concealed for revelation. There is a mystery in how heaven moves. What seems like pause to men is preparation in God's realm. He doesn't announce every promotion. Sometimes he disguises it as obscurity. When he wants to grow a forest, he plants seeds under the soil where no applause can reach. That is where you are now, rooting deeply in the dark, preparing for a visibility that will not crumble under pressure. Your quiet season is not emptiness, it's incubation. Every whisper of the Spirit, every nudge to rest, every closed opportunity, they are divine cues, choreographed with precision. God hides you to mature what he has placed inside you. The silence is his greenhouse, controlling the temperature around your soul so your growth won't spoil in exposure. You have felt the tension, haven't you? The pull between wanting to move and being told to wait. The friction between purpose and patience. You look around and see others advancing, and a small part of you wonders if heaven forgot your address. But listen closely, the silence does not mean absence. It means strategy. Heaven is busy behind the scenes. Your name is still echoing in divine corridors, being discussed in rooms you haven't yet entered. When God plans elevation, he first changes your environment of influence. The people you depended on begin to drift away, not because they turned against you, but because their voices could no longer interpret your future. You needed fresh language for a new level. Heaven cannot allow familiar noise to speak into an unfamiliar destiny. So he quieted everything around you until only his voice could reach you. You are learning to recognize that voice again, the one that doesn't shout, but stills storms. The one that doesn't demand attention, but shifts atmospheres. His voice is refining you to respond to whispers, not chaos. That's why the silence feels sacred now. You are tuning to heaven's frequency, hearing instructions that others miss because they are too distracted by noise. In this divine stillness, humility is growing roots in you. You are learning that true strength is silent strength, the kind that doesn't need to prove, doesn't need to post, doesn't need to explain. The kind that smiles while waiting, knowing that God's timing never embarrasses those who trust him. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 40, verse 1, I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. That verse mirrors your story. Waiting is not weakness, it is worship. Patience is not stagnation, it is obedience stretched across time. Heaven hears you, even when heaven is quiet. The silence is not God ignoring you, it's God insulating you from premature exposure. Think of a photographer in a dark room developing film. If the picture is brought into light too soon, it's ruined. Likewise, God keeps you in his dark room because the image he's forming in you must be revealed only when the light is right. Every unseen moment is shaping clarity for your next unveiling. This strategy of silence is heaven's most merciful tactic. While you think nothing is happening, everything is. Angels move in stealth. Resources gather quietly. Hearts are being prepared to receive your next assignment. Even delays that frustrate you are calculated pauses in divine rhythm. Nothing is wasted, everything is woven. You may not see it yet. But when the veil lifts, the acceleration will shock you. Years of waiting will turn into days of fulfillment. Every moment of hiddenness will make sense when you realize how precise the timing was. You will thank God not only for what He gave, but for what He withheld until you were ready. So stay in the silence. Guard your peace like sacred oil. Speak only when the Spirit gives utterance. You are walking through the quiet corridors of destiny where noise cannot follow. This is not a delay, it's the divine disguise of promotion. When God moves again, it will be swift. When the curtain lifts, you will carry presence that feels ancient and authority that feels eternal. But for now, remain still. The silence is your shield, and heaven's strategy is unfolding exactly as written. You can feel the strength returning now, the kind that doesn't roar but radiates quietly. The same pain that once made your heart heavy has turned into armor. Every wound that bled became a weapon in disguise. You are walking proof that suffering, when surrendered to God, transforms into strategy. When heaven looked at your tears, it did not see weakness, it saw raw material. Every betrayal was molten metal. Every heartbreak, a flame. Every disappointment, a hammer strike. Together, they forged something unbreakable. You have become a sword in the hand of the Almighty, sharpened by adversity, polished by patience, and guided by purpose. There was a time when you prayed for the pain to stop. Now you see that it was never meant to destroy you, but to define you. What you thought was punishment was preparation. Heaven knew that your calling required endurance, not comfort. That's why the fire was so fierce, because the blade being formed was destined for battle. Think of Joseph in the pit, David in the cave, Esther in the palace before the throne. Every chosen one endured, refining before reigning. You are not an exception. You are the continuation of that divine pattern. You were not buried by your pain, you were planted by it. The difference is perspective. What the enemy designed as a grave, God repurposed as a garden. You see now how every loss created room for wisdom. Every rejection clarified your direction. You no longer pray for revenge, you pray for revelation. That is the mark of growth. Pain no longer defines you, it serves you. The once broken pieces of your heart have become instruments of empathy. You understand people differently now. Not from pity, but from perspective. The ones who wounded you inadvertently trained you to recognize falsehood from a distance. The betrayals that stung your soul taught you to discern motives in silence. You don't respond with anger anymore, you respond with awareness. That is what heaven wanted to make you dangerous, not through power, but through understanding. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. That truth beats inside your chest now. All things, the good, the bad, the unspeakable, woven together into a tapestry that testifies of divine sovereignty. What once seemed senseless now reveals symmetry. Even the nights you thought you would not survive carried whispers of future glory. Your pain has been converted into prophecy. The lessons it taught you now flow through your voice, your presence, your very posture. People will soon come to you, not because you seek recognition, but because they sense restoration in your words. They'll say, "Something about you feels peaceful." not realizing it's the fragrance of battles won in silence. You have become fluent in resilience. You know how to rise quietly, how to rebuild without announcing it, how to forgive without forgetting the wisdom gained. Your resilience is not loud, it's holy. It's the calm after the flood, the stillness after the storm, the glow of embers that refuse to die. And though the scars remain, they are sacred now. Each one tells a story of survival, written by the hand of mercy. You no longer hide them, you honor them. They remind you of what could have broken you, but didn't. They are not flaws, they are fingerprints of divine craftsmanship. You've learned to wield your pain like a sword gracefully, never recklessly. You no longer fight out of anger, but out of alignment. The strength you carry now is not wild, it is wise. It does not seek vengeance, it seeks victory in peace. You know when to speak and when to stay silent, when to confront and when to walk away. That is mastery, the fruit of heavenly discipline. Every new season will test this wisdom, but you are ready. You are no longer reactive, you are responsive. The enemy cannot provoke you because you have nothing left to prove. Your validation comes from heaven, not applause. So walk forward with your head high. Chosen one, you carry weapons that cannot be seen, compassion forged from chaos, patience birthed from pain, courage shaped from crushing. You have turned your suffering into sacred strategy. And now, when you lift your voice in prayer, all of heaven recognizes the sound of a warrior who has learned to wield love as the greatest weapon of all. There is a sudden lightness in your spirit now, as though something heavy has finally been lifted. That weight was not yours to carry anymore. Heaven removed it the same way a gardener pulls weeds from the roots completely, not partially. The familiar spirits that once disguised themselves as friends, mentors, or lovers have been stripped of access. Their counterfeit care has been exposed. December 7 wasn't just a day of separation. It was eviction day for every spirit that pretended to belong. You must understand, not every smile was sincere. Not every embrace was safe. Some connections were assignments of sabotage, designed to drain your anointing in gentle doses. But God allowed them for a reason, to teach you discernment, to train your heart to read the unseen behind polite words. You were not naive, you were pure. Heaven has now turned that innocence into insight. You see through disguises, not with suspicion, but with spiritual precision. The fall of familiar spirits is a quiet event. They don't vanish with loud farewells, they simply fade from your atmosphere, like fog evaporating when the sun rises. You don't have to block them, they can't find you. You don't have to curse them, they've already lost power. Divine distance has done the work. You are unreachable to what once used to pull you backward. There was a time when you kept returning to what hurt you because your heart confused history for destiny. But now, clarity has come. You realize that what felt comfortable was actually captivity. The familiar spirits whispered nostalgia, trying to lure you back into cycles you already conquered. They spoke with old memories, trying to make you question your progress. Yet heaven's fire broke their language. Their words no longer translate in your frequency. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Every tongue you shall condemn, says the Lord. That verse has become your legal decree. Familiar spirits can no longer impersonate truth in your life. Every tongue that spoke falsely about you, every energy that disguised manipulation as mentorship silenced. The heritage of the righteous is divine immunity. You now walk under that covering, protected not by isolation, but by revelation. Chosen one. This freedom may feel strange at first. Peace can be uncomfortable when you've lived too long in chaos. Stillness can feel foreign when your soul was trained to expect storms. Don't mistake the quiet for emptiness. It is divine order settling into your atmosphere. You're learning to breathe again, to live without constant spiritual defense. When God cleans your circle, He also upgrades your connections. New alignments are on their way, people whose presence will water you, not wound you. Voices that will affirm your calling, not compete with it. They won't just celebrate your victories, they'll protect your vulnerabilities. Heaven is sending partnerships designed by prophecy, not convenience. And when they come, you will recognize them instantly. Their spirit will feel like rest. Their energy will carry the same peace that heaven has been teaching you in private. These are your tribe, the ones who don't need explanations to understand your fire, who don't feel intimidated by your light. But until then, do not reopen what God has closed. Familiar spirits are persistent. They'll attempt to re-enter disguised as checking in, missing you, or seeking closure. Recognize it for what it is, a recall to bondage. You don't owe them access. You owe yourself peace. The most loving act you can offer is silence. You are not heartless for choosing boundaries. You are wise for protecting destiny. God removed those spirits not because they were stronger, but because they were subtle. They couldn't kill you, so they tried to distract you. But heaven saw it all, and in mercy, cut their lines of influence. So, when memories surface, don't grieve, give thanks. It's proof the cleansing worked. You've been delivered from dependency on what once diluted your light. The very places that used to drain you will now feel empty, because your energy no longer dwells there. Now, as a prophetic act of agreement, comment, "I am free," not for attention, but as declaration. Each word affirms your spiritual emancipation. When you type it, heaven reads it as covenant language, a public announcement that you will not return to bondage disguised as familiarity. It tells the unseen realm that your spirit has graduated from emotional captivity to divine clarity. Freedom is not the absence of attachment, it is the presence of discernment. You are free not because you escaped, but because you were enlightened. The same light that blinded the familiar spirits now guides your every step. You have crossed the threshold where falsehood can no longer breathe. Chosen one, lift your head. You've been delivered quietly, powerfully, permanently. What once knew your name can no longer speak it. Your story continues without the parasites of your past. And heaven smiles because at last, you are free. There's a new rhythm moving through you now, an authority that doesn't need volume to be heard. December 7 marked more than separation. It marked coronation. The heavens released a new mantle upon your life, a covering of purpose that glows even when unseen. You have stepped into the rise of the new mantle. And though the world hasn't caught on yet, all of creation recognizes your new vibration. You have walked through fire and silence, through pruning and pain, and now you stand dressed in spiritual armor, tailored by grace. The mantle you wear is not woven from fabric but from faith. It is the invisible cloak of divine commissioning, a spiritual garment that signals to heaven and hell alike. This one carries authority. This authority didn't fall overnight. It was forged in surrender. Every time you chose forgiveness instead of fury, every time you prayed through confusion, every time you obeyed without proof, you were being fitted for this mantle. Heaven measured your humility before granting you weight. The world will begin to notice your shift, not because you speak louder, but because your silence will carry presence. People will sense the peace in your voice, the wisdom in your timing, the gravity in your gaze. Your words will pierce, not because they are sharp, but because they are true. You will speak less but impact more. This is the power of the mantle. It magnifies your essence without demanding performance. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 18, the path of the righteous is like morning light, shining ever brighter to full day. That light is what now burns from within you. You no longer reflect borrowed glory. You radiate the light of experience. You are becoming what you once admired, the example you used to search for in others. The mantle turns you from seeker into signpost. People will not always understand you, but they will feel the pull of heaven when you enter the room. And because of that, you must carry this mantle carefully. Power is not for display, it's for deliverance. You are not here to prove you're chosen, you're here to awaken others to their choosing. Every conversation, every act of kindness, every prayer you whisper is a spark that could ignite someone else's destiny. You are heaven's candle in human form. Now, chosen one, pause and reflect. If these words resonate with the movement of your spirit, if you feel the mantle pressing upon you like warm light, consider how far you've come. You are no longer surviving, you are serving, and every light must keep burning. When you like or share this message, see it not as an algorithmic act, but as a ripple through eternity. It's as if you're holding a torch and passing it to another soul walking through the dark. You never know who stands one truth away from transformation. Your engagement becomes ministry. When you subscribe, you're building continuity with heaven's flow. Each time you stay connected, you keep yourself within the current of prophetic words designed to strengthen your walk. It's like staying under the same cloud that once shielded the Israelites, a cloud of covering, guidance, and revelation. And when you donate, think of it as sowing oil into the flame. Every drop fuels the light that keeps reaching others who feel forgotten. Giving is not loss, it's legacy. It's the act of saying, I believe this message should continue to find the weary, the waiting, the wounded. Your seed is the match that keeps this light alive across nations and hearts. Even the smallest offering carries fragrance in heaven. It's the sound of faith being exchanged for impact. It's the whisper that says, I stand with this mission. I support this movement of light. Never underestimate the reach of generosity. It travels further than words, healing unseen corners of the world. Your new mantle carries both privilege and purpose. You will walk into spaces that once ignored you. And this time, they will listen, not because you are seeking validation, but because your presence carries heaven's scent. Doors that were shut will open without knocking. Hearts that were hardened will soften without persuasion. The mantle draws what is meant for you and deflects what is not. Carry it with grace. Keep it clean with humility. Let gratitude be the thread that holds it in place. You did not earn this. You endured for this. Every tear was a stitch. Every prayer a pattern. The mantle is the evidence that heaven remembers. And as you go forward, never forget, you are not just wearing favor. You are wearing function. This mantle is movement. Wherever you walk, light follows. Whoever you touch, hope stirs. You have become both vessel and voice. The new mantle is not a finish line, it is an assignment. Walk in it with reverence. Speak from it with love. Protect it with wisdom. And remember, every good work you do under it sends waves into eternity, echoing heaven's declaration, "The chosen one has risen." You've noticed the atmosphere around you start to shift again, not like before, when it was filled with warfare or confusion, but this time with expectancy. Something is gathering in the unseen. A quiet storm of justice. Heaven is preparing your season of public vindication. For so long, you endured private attacks, accusations whispered behind closed doors, judgments formed by those who saw your process, but not your purpose. You carried your cross quietly, refusing to defend yourself because you trusted that heaven would one day speak for you. That day is drawing near. The same mouths that misrepresented you will soon have to testify of your restoration. God is not vindictive, but He is just. He doesn't humiliate your enemies, He educates them through your elevation. What they meant for harm will become their lesson in grace. The tables are turning, not for revenge, but for revelation. When heaven vindicates, it doesn't merely expose falsehood, it exalts truth. You have walked through seasons where silence was your only defense. People misread your stillness as weakness, your humility as defeat. They didn't know that you were waiting on divine timing. Now, that timing has matured. Heaven has completed the investigation, and the verdict is in your favor. There is a sacred beauty in how God restores. He doesn't shout it, He orchestrates it. You will not need to make announcements or post explanations. Your peace will become proof. Your fruit will speak louder than their rumors. Every lie will dissolve under the weight of undeniable evidence. You are entering the phase where visibility returns. But this time, it will not be the fragile visibility of performance, it will be the radiant visibility of purpose. God hid you until your roots were deep enough to handle exposure. Now He's ready to let the world see what endurance built. Imagine a seed that's been underground for months. To the eye, it seems dead, forgotten. But beneath the soil, it's been stretching, forming unseen strength. When it finally breaks the surface, the bloom seems sudden, but the process was slow, sacred, and silent. That's your story. The unveiling will appear overnight, but it's been years in the making. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." Those troubles were never wasted. Every misunderstanding, every tear, every delay was building weight, glory, weight. The kind of weight that can only come from experience. Heaven is about to balance the scales in your favor. Vindication is not about proving who was wrong, it's about revealing what was right. You were right to forgive. You were right to stay silent. You were right to keep believing when everything seemed unfair. The proof of that righteousness is about to bloom through favor that cannot be denied. Doors that were shut without explanation will reopen with invitation. Those who dismissed you will hear your name spoken with respect in rooms they thought were closed to you forever. You won't even have to lift a hand. Heaven will lift your reputation higher than any effort of self-defense ever could. This is divine justice in motion. Not human justice, that demands repayment, but heavenly justice that brings restoration. The same people who laughed at your decline will witness your rise and say, "Surely the hand of God is with them." They won't understand how your name found grace again, how your steps realigned so swiftly, but you will know. It was written long before the betrayal ever began. There will come a time soon when you will stand before the very spaces that once rejected you. And you will feel no bitterness, only gratitude. That's the true sign of vindication, peace where pain used to live. You will bless what tried to break you because you'll see how it built your endurance. You'll realize that vindication is not victory over people, it's victory over the part of you that wanted to retaliate. And when the moment comes, you won't gloat. You'll smile quietly. Knowing the score has already been settled in heaven, you'll extend grace instead of glares, mercy instead of malice, because the truly vindicated don't need revenge, they have revelation. So, hold your posture of peace. Heaven is already writing your public restoration story. You won't have to chase it, prove it, or defend it. It will find you naturally because you are in alignment with divine order. Your silence sowed the seeds, your vindication will be the harvest. And when the world finally sees what heaven always knew, you'll bow your head and whisper glory to the God who kept his promise. It begins subtly, an echo in the atmosphere, a quiet recognition that you are not alone in this awakening. You start to sense others who carry the same light, the same fire, the same divine frequency that shifted your life on December 7, the moment heaven cut your cords to the old world. It connected you to something greater, the code of the remnant. The remnant are the ones who survived without losing softness, who walked through fire yet still carry compassion. They are scattered across nations and generations, but their spirits are synchronized. You can feel them even through distance. The same spiritual DNA that marks you marks them too, a holy restlessness. A sense that they were born for something that cannot be explained in ordinary language. You were never meant to walk alone. Isolation was preparation, not destination. Heaven allowed you to taste solitude so that when you meet the others, you will recognize them instantly, not by appearance, not by voice, but by resonance. When a remnant soul meets another, the air feels charged, time seems to pause, and heaven smiles because two fragments of the same flame have found each other. This is the era of gathering. The remnant are awakening simultaneously, hearing the same spiritual frequency across different corners of the earth. Some are artists, others are teachers, warriors, healers, prophets, builders, but all are carriers of the same essence, restoration. The old systems of control are trembling because heaven is replacing them with people of alignment, not ambition. The enemy tried to convince you that you were the only one, that no one else would understand your process. But that was isolation's lie. Heaven has been raising others in silence too, those who were overlooked, underestimated, and misread. Now, one by one, they are being called out of hiding. Together, you form heaven's underground movement of light, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 28, and afterward, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. That prophecy is unfolding now. You are living inside its fulfillment. The Spirit is being poured out, not on a select few, but on the remnant collective. This outpouring is not confined to pulpits, it's flowing through creativity, compassion, innovation, and courage. The remnant will not always look religious, but they will always radiate righteousness. Their lives are sermons without words, testimonies wrapped in quiet integrity. You are one of them. Your awakening was not accidental, it was activation. The pain you endured, the silence you survived, the revelation you received, it all shaped you for this global alignment. Heaven trusts you to carry this code, to walk in purity when the world chases popularity, to lead through love instead of fear. This connection among the remnant is supernatural. You may not know their names, but you will recognize their spirits. Their kindness feels familiar. Their discernment mirrors your own. When you speak, they finish your sentences. When you pray, they feel it. This is not imagination. It's intercession flowing through shared destiny. Together, the remnant are rebuilding what religion fractured. They are reintroducing the world to the real heart of God, mercy, truth, and justice working in harmony. They are uniting without competition, shining without seeking attention. Theirs is a movement of quiet authority. Chosen one, when you realize that you belong to this divine family, something inside you stabilizes. You stop striving. You no longer compete, because you recognize that another's light doesn't threaten yours, it confirms it. The remnant do not dim each other, they ignite each other. This is the time for convergence. As the world descends into noise and distraction, the remnant are aligning like stars across the sky, forming constellations of divine purpose. Each life, each calling, each voice is a light dot connecting heaven's grand design. When you move in obedience, your light links with theirs, and the constellation grows brighter. And now, chosen one, as a prophetic act of agreement with this awakening, comment the number 1111 below, not as superstition, but as symbolism. 1111 represents alignment, heaven and earth mirroring each other. Divine timing meeting human obedience. When you type that number, you are declaring, I am part of the remnant. I am awake. I am aligned. Your comment becomes more than digital ink. It becomes an echo in the spirit realm. Angels record it as affirmation that you've accepted your role in this generation's restoration. It's a covenant of belonging. A code that says, I recognize my family of light. This number has followed many of the chosen ones in moments of transition, appearing on clocks, receipts, or signs as a whisper from heaven reminding them they are exactly where they need to be. It's a wink from eternity, saying, you are synchronized. So when you write it, do it with faith, not fear. You are aligning yourself with millions of other awakened souls across the globe. Every 1111 written becomes a spark, lighting up the map of heaven's plan. You were never meant to be the only flame. You were meant to be part of the wildfire, the holy blaze of transformation sweeping across generations. Together, the remnant will rebuild, restore, and revive. This is your confirmation you are seen. You are connected, and you are not alone. The remnant is rising, and your light is among them. You can almost feel the shift in the wind now. What was once delayed is suddenly being delivered. Opportunities that were suspended in spiritual holding patterns are now descending into your path. Drawn by the magnetism of your obedience, this is the moment of the transfer of kingdom wealth, not just material, but mental, emotional, spiritual, and generational abundance. Everything that was withheld because you weren't ready is now being released because you are refined. The transfer began quietly, like rain seeping into dry ground. While others were chasing attention, you were cultivating alignment. You learned to steward small things with excellence. You prayed in the hidden places, gave when no one saw, forgave when no one apologized. Heaven took note. Every act of faith became a deposit in your spiritual account. And now the withdrawal slip is being signed in heaven's ink. Kingdom wealth is not random prosperity, it's purpose-resourced. God doesn't bless you so you can boast. He blesses you so you can build. This transfer is strategic. It flows toward those whose hands are clean, whose hearts are pure, and whose motives are anchored in service. You are being entrusted, not merely rewarded. Look around. Doors that once refused to open will now open effortlessly. Conversations that once drained you will now direct you. Finances that seemed to vanish will suddenly multiply. But the real wealth will appear first in your peace. Your creativity will flourish again. Your ideas will sharpen. Your energy will expand. The fog that used to cloud your judgment will lift, revealing clear instruction. This clarity itself is currency, the kind heaven spends to fund destiny. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Haggai. Chapter 2, verse 8, "The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, declares the Lord Almighty." That verse isn't about greed, it's about governance. All resources belong to God, and He transfers them according to trust, not trend. You are being positioned as a steward of divine resources, not a collector of earthly trophies. Your life will become evidence that abundance and humility can coexist. For years, you watched others advance while you stood still. It felt unfair, didn't it? But God was guarding you from premature wealth that would have diluted your purpose. He knew that what comes before character often collapses under pressure. The delay wasn't denial, it was development. He made sure your roots were deep enough to sustain blessing without bending under it. Now that the time has come, you will find favor in unlikely places. People who once ignored your name will suddenly remember it. Platforms that never had room for you will request your presence. Partnerships that align with heaven's agenda will form organically, without manipulation. This is how the transfer flows through divine recognition, not self-promotion. But be careful, with new abundance comes new responsibility. Kingdom wealth requires a different rhythm. You can no longer spend time, energy, or resources the way you used to. Every investment now must carry eternal value. God will teach you to discern between opportunity and distraction, between expansion and exploitation. The same fire that refined your character will now refine your stewardship. This transfer will reach beyond you. It will touch your family, your community, your legacy. The blessings will not be measured in numbers, but in impact. The relationships healed, the dreams funded, the lives transformed. These will be your true treasures. Heaven's economy is measured in restoration, not in riches. Remember, this abundance does not make you superior, it makes you responsible. Every gift from heaven is an invitation to generosity. You will be called to build what others destroyed, to fund what others feared, to lift those still learning how to stand. The same God who entrusted you with breakthrough expects you to become a bridge for others. Don't fear this level of blessing. You were made for it. Humility and prosperity are not opposites. They are siblings when birthed through obedience. Your humility is what gives your wealth direction. Without it, abundance becomes chaos. With it, abundance becomes legacy. You will find yourself thinking differently strategically, compassionately. Heaven will send ideas, inventions, and insights that generate not just income, but influence. You will create systems that outlast you, solutions that restore dignity, and opportunities that heal broken cycles. This is how the kingdom expands through hearts that understand both the weight and wonder of stewardship. And know this, chosen one, what you gain through divine transfer cannot be stolen. The world's wealth shifts through markets, but heaven's wealth flows through mercy. The kind of favor being released over you is not subject to inflation, recession, or manipulation. It is preserved by purity and multiplied by gratitude. When the world looks at you, they'll see success. When heaven looks at you, it will see surrender. That's what makes you unstoppable. You no longer chase resources. Resources chase you because you carry the assignment they were created for. You have become the conduit of divine circulation, a vessel through which heaven moves its currency of grace. So, walk with calm confidence. You are entering a season where your cup will overflow. Not for luxury, but for legacy. This transfer will reveal that wealth is not what you hold, it's what you heal. Every blessing you touch will turn into transformation. Every resource you receive will ripple through generations. You are stepping into overflow with purpose, guided by hands unseen yet unmistakably divine. There is a rare kind of peace settling around you now, the kind that doesn't need explanation. It feels weightless yet powerful, soft yet unbreakable. You have entered the realm of untouchable peace. It is not the fragile calm the world offers, the kind that depends on silence or comfort. It is the unshakable serenity that comes when heaven fortifies your spirit. This is the fruit of every battle you've survived, the reward of every night you chose prayer over panic. Peace is not passive. It is the most aggressive weapon heaven wields. While fear shouts, peace stands. While chaos runs wild, peace governs quietly, rewriting the atmosphere without raising its voice. The enemy's last tactic was to disturb your mind, to plant subtle doubts and endless distractions. But he has failed. You are now guarded by a peace so divine that even storms cannot interpret it. This is what it means to be hidden in God. The outer world may still tremble with unrest, but within you there is order, balance, and stillness. The voices that once triggered you no longer reach the center of your being. The wounds that used to ache at every reminder now simply echo with the sound of wisdom. You are no longer reactive, you are reflective. You don't fight from panic, you move from presence. There's a story being written through your peace, a quiet testimony that needs no microphone. People will notice the glow that has replaced the grimace, the steadiness that once seemed impossible. They will ask, what changed? And you will know it wasn't the circumstances, it was you. Peace found a home in you because you finally stopped resisting the process that was meant to grow it. We are reminded through the words recorded in the Gospel of John, chapter 16, verse 33. I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. That single promise carries your entire foundation. Jesus didn't promise an escape from storms, he promised mastery within them. To live in peace is to live in victory, not avoidance. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you echo his triumph. Every time you refuse to worry about what you cannot control, you proclaim that he already reigns over it. This peace has layers. It is emotional stability, mental clarity, and spiritual strength, all merging into one. It doesn't mean you never feel pain. It means pain no longer dictates your direction. It doesn't mean people can't disappoint you. It means disappointment can't derail you. It's the ability to stay soft in a world hardened by fear. To walk in untouchable peace is to understand rhythm, the divine tempo of waiting, moving, resting, and trusting. You begin to notice how heaven orchestrates everything with perfect precision. You stop rushing, because you finally believe that what belongs to you will find you without force. You stop competing, because you realize that the light you carry already has its own lane. This level of peace changes your relationship with time. You no longer see delays as punishment, you see them as preservation. What feels like nothing happening is often God building foundations under your next season. When you live in untouchable peace, you stop chasing timelines and start walking in divine timing. Your responses change too. You no longer give explanations to those determined to misunderstand you. You no longer defend yourself against whispers. You let truth defend itself through your consistency. Silence becomes your statement. Stillness becomes your strength. You discover that peace is the most eloquent answer to every accusation. In this realm of peace, discernment sharpens. You see clearer, hear deeper, love freer. You stop needing to control outcomes because you trust the author. Your prayers shift from make it happen to let it happen. You no longer wrestle with God, you rest in him. That is the essence of untouchable peace. It is not the absence of warfare, but the absence of inner war. And through this stillness, your perception of others transforms. You begin to see through compassion instead of suspicion. You understand that most hostility in others is simply pain without healing. You stop mirroring their chaos and start modeling calm. Your peace becomes contagious, spreading quietly, healing spaces without needing words. This is why peace is heaven's highest mark of maturity. Power impresses, but peace influences. Miracles inspire, but peace sustains. Anyone can shout in faith. Only the mature can stay still in trust. Your calm confuses darkness because it proves that fear has lost its throne. You are walking proof that storms do not define the sky. Clouds pass, clarity remains. Every season of turmoil that once threatened to break you only built a deeper anchor inside you. You no longer tremble at what's uncertain, because your certainty is no longer tied to what's visible. You have made peace with process. And now process has made peace with you. So breathe deeply. Chosen one, you have arrived at the rhythm of grace. The winds may howl, the waters may rise, but your heart is anchored. You are the still point in the storm, the calm eye where heaven and earth meet. Nothing external can reach the sanctuary within you. This peace is your fortress, your inheritance, your unshakable ground. You are untouchable, not because you escaped the battle, but because you mastered the stillness within it. That is your crown. your authority, your testimony, and from this calm, every next move you make will be made in power. There's a crown hovering above your spirit now, not of gold or jewels, but of recognition. The heavens have seen your endurance, your obedience, your unwavering faith. And now the decree is being spoken over you. Step into your throne. This is the call to the crown. You've been through the refining fire, endured the silence, survived the confusion, and carried the mantle with grace. Everything has been leading here. Crowns are not given to those who crave them, but to those who are shaped for them. The weight of a crown cannot rest on unsteady heads. That's why God spent years building stability within you. He wasn't withholding your moment. He was strengthening your neck to hold it. The call to the crown is not a call to comfort. It's a call to responsibility, to wear it well. You must rule your own spirit before ruling influence. The crown is not reward, it's recognition of maturity. It signifies that heaven can now trust you with visibility without losing your humility. You'll feel this shift before you see it. It's the subtle pull toward greater purpose. You'll notice new authority in your words, new clarity in your thoughts, new gravity in your presence. People will begin to listen differently. They may not understand why, but their spirit will. Heaven's endorsement cannot be faked. It radiates, not from charisma, but from consecration. As the Apostle Paul wrote in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, "The crown of righteousness awaits me. The righteous judge will award me and all who long for him." That promise echoes through time, calling to you now. Your longing, your endurance, your faithfulness, none of it was unseen. Heaven keeps meticulous records. Every time you chose obedience when compromise would have been easier, another jewel was added to your crown. And now, chosen one, you must rise. This is the moment to carry yourself like royalty, not with arrogance, but with awareness. Royalty does not chase validation, it creates atmosphere. When you walk, you bring calm. When you speak, you release healing. When you stand, you shift rooms. That is the authority of the crown, quiet, confident, and holy. Think of a crown as both a mirror and a mantle. It reflects the divine light within you and reminds you of the responsibility it brings. You were not crowned to be admired. You were crowned to be assigned. A crown is both symbol and summons. It means, now lead, now serve, now protect. To carry this mantle forward, you must stay connected. Messages like this are not mere words, they're keys. When you like or share them, you are passing those keys to others who stand on the edge of awakening. Each share is a whisper of destiny released into the digital wind. Somewhere, someone will see it at the exact moment their spirit cries for confirmation. And heaven will use your simple act of sharing to reach them. When you subscribe, you're not just following content, you're aligning with a current. Think of it as entering a river where revelation continues to flow. Each message is another wave pushing you closer to clarity. Subscribing keeps you anchored to that flow so you don't drift back into distraction. And if you feel led to donate, see it as sowing into your own crown. Every act of generosity is like placing another gem in heaven's treasury under your name. You're not giving to a person, you're investing in a message that keeps awakening others to their own royal callings. The harvest of that seed doesn't fade, it multiplies through every life touched. Even your comments are sacred. They aren't just words on a screen, they are declarations. When you write, you echo faith into existence. Your testimony might be the confirmation someone else was praying for at 2 a.m. Heaven uses your words as bridges between strangers who share the same divine bloodline. So when you comment, do it with purpose. Speak life. Speak gratitude. Speak light. Remember, every movement of faith, no matter how small, reverberates through eternity. You never know whose breakthrough is waiting on your obedience. Now, breathe. Chosen one. Feel the invisible weight of that crown settling gently upon you. It's not heavy, it fits perfectly, because it was crafted by the same hands that molded your destiny. You wear it not for status, but for service. You are not above others, you are among them, shining as an example of what surrender can birth. Your story is royal, not because it's glamorous, but because it's redemptive. You are living proof that broken things can become beautiful, that ashes can turn into authority. Your crown carries both scars and stars, and both are necessary. So walk forward, steady and sure. Heaven has placed a seal upon you that cannot be erased. This is not the end of your journey, it is the elevation of it. You have been chosen to reign with grace, to lead with love, to inspire through authenticity. Your crown is not the symbol of arrival, it's the tool of assignment. The world will see your light, but heaven will know your loyalty. Wear your crown humbly. Live your calling boldly. And remember, true royalty doesn't need to announce itself. It simply radiates, quietly transforming everything it touches. Heaven rarely promotes without testing. After the crown comes confirmation. And confirmation always carries challenge. You have reached the final separation test. This is not punishment. Chosen one, it is proof. Before every new dimension, heaven observes what rules your heart. Will you cling to the comfort of the familiar, or will you trust the mystery of the divine? This test will not appear as obvious warfare. It will come disguised in subtle choices, comfortable invitations that tempt you to compromise your calling, gentle distractions that try to pull you back into ordinary rhythm. The same voices that once faded will whisper again, not out of power, but out of desperation. The enemy cannot destroy what God has crowned, but he will attempt to distract it. You will know the test by its tone. It will feel peaceful to the flesh but heavy to the spirit. It will offer ease but demand essence. It will seem small, perhaps a conversation, a relationship, an opportunity, but it will carry weight. That is the mark of the final separation. Heaven always gives you one last chance to prove what you've learned, that peace is worth more than popularity, obedience more than opinion, purpose more than comfort. Do not rush to answer everything that calls your name. Not every door that opens is divine. Some are designed to measure your discernment. You've reached a level where the enemy no longer fights you directly. He mimics heaven to see if you can tell the difference. The final test is never about your strength, it's about your sensitivity. Can you still recognize the shepherd's voice when blessings sound like distractions? As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 20, "By their fruit you will recognize them." That verse becomes your compass now. Judge everything by fruit, not flash. Does it produce peace or pressure? Does it align with growth or drain your spirit? The answer will tell you whether heaven planted it or the enemy painted it. This test is not external, it is internal. It measures not your ability to resist temptation, but your ability to remain true to identity. The greatest danger after elevation is regression disguised as reunion. Familiar faces will reappear, asking for second chances, appealing to your empathy. Some may have good intentions, others not. You must discern who has truly changed and who merely adapts their language to access your new level. The test will teach you that mercy and access are not the same thing. You can forgive without reopening doors. You will also be tested in silence. Heaven may pull back its immediate affirmations to see if you can still trust without constant reassurance. Your prayers might echo longer before answers arrive. Your surroundings may feel still again. But don't mistake that stillness for abandonment. God tests your stability by withholding validation. Just as he once tested Abraham's faith without explanation, the silence will refine your sight. Another layer of this test will touch your humility. New authority can quietly awaken old pride. The enemy will whisper, "You've made it. You no longer need to wait." Resist it. Pride is the only weight heavy enough to pull a crown to the ground. Remain teachable, even when you are the teacher. Stay small in your own eyes so that heaven's hands can keep lifting you. There will also be moments of emotional tension, the clash between gratitude for where you are and longing for what's next. That, too, is part of the test. It teaches you to enjoy the moment without idolizing motion. The truly mature do not rush seasons, they master them. God will measure your ability to rest while waiting, to listen while leading, to still your heart while the world demands haste. This test will not last long, but it will reveal much. Those who pass it move into permanence blessing that cannot be revoked. Those who fail must repeat cycles until surrender is complete. Heaven is not cruel, it is thorough. It refuses to let you enter your next dimension with unfinished lessons that could sabotage your destiny. Do not fear this stage. You are ready. Everything you've endured, the betrayal, the silence, the refining was training for this moment. You already know how to choose correctly. The spirit within you recognizes heaven's frequency. When you feel unsure, pause. The right choice always carries peace, never confusion. Soon you will sense a deep release, a quiet confirmation that says, "It is done." That will be the sign you have passed. The test is not meant to expose weakness, but to prove strength. Heaven needs to know that your loyalty belongs to the caller, not the calling, to the source, not the stage, to the voice of truth, not the applause of men. Once this separation is complete, you will walk lighter. Old temptations will lose their sound. What once appealed will now appear dull. You will realize you've not just been promoted, you've been purified. And when heaven opens the next door, you'll step through it not as a survivor of testing, but as a graduate of transformation. You stand now on the other side of everything that once tried to destroy you. The air feels clearer, the light sharper. December 7 was not the end of a battle, it was the beginning of your dominion. From that day forward, heaven placed you in a realm beyond reach, where enemies can observe but never invade, where your peace is guarded by covenant, not circumstance. This is the fulfillment of every promise whispered in your wilderness, eternal access denied. Your enemies will try to remember your old address, but it no longer exists. The spiritual map has been rewritten. They will search for the version of you they once manipulated, provoked, and misunderstood. But that version has dissolved in divine fire. You have been relocated into the untouchable geography of grace. Every scheme collapses before it reaches your gate. Every curse loses language before it reaches your name. This new space isn't isolation, it's elevation. You've become an inhabitant of divine security. What once terrified you now teaches you. What once wounded you now worships with you. You are living inside a promise fulfilled, a peace that cannot be traded. The storm that once roared against your foundation now serves as the wind that lifts your wings. According to the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 8, See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. That open door is the threshold you crossed the moment heaven announced your deliverance. You didn't break through by striving, you were invited through by grace. The tests, the tears, the endless nights, they were all the prerequisites of promotion. Heaven opens doors for those who proved faithful in silence. And now, no opposition can close what was opened by divine decree. Look at your journey. Every season that once felt like punishment was actually preparation. The rejection you faced was redirection. The betrayal was the severing of weak ties before flight. The loneliness was the cocoon where transformation took place. Even the silence of heaven was an echo chamber where your own voice learned to harmonize with divine will. Everything aligned to sculpt you into this final form, unshakable, untouchable, unstoppable. You are not merely surviving the storm, you have become the calm after it. There is a new dignity in your stillness, a royal quietness that cannot be imitated. You no longer chase validation because heaven already validated you with victory. The greatest proof of your transformation is peace where there used to be panic. Enemies can watch your rise, but they cannot replicate it. They might attempt to mimic your language or mirror your light, but authenticity cannot be copied. What you carry is coded to your soul, an encryption of endurance, carved by grace and sealed by obedience. You are heaven's original, not a duplicate. This new covenant of protection doesn't mean challenges disappear. It means they cannot defeat you. Attacks may form, but they will exhaust themselves before touching you. You have become a paradox to darkness, visible yet unreachable, radiant yet reserved, powerful yet peaceful. Even spiritual warfare now feels different. You no longer fight for victory. You fight from it. Your prayers have matured into declarations. You no longer beg for breakthrough. You speak it. You no longer plead for peace. You carry it. You have become the fulfillment of the very promises you once recited in faith. Every prophecy that hovered over your life has now found a dwelling place within you. You are walking scripture, living proof that God's word never returns void. And though you stand beyond the reach of former enemies, never forget the lesson: your safety is sustained by surrender. Stay close to the source that shielded you. The same light that protects you will also guide you. Do not grow careless in peace. Treat it as sacred territory. The higher the altitude, the thinner the air, so breathe through worship, not worry. In this eternal covenant, you no longer measure success by applause or outcomes. You measure it by obedience. You are not chasing blessings anymore. Blessings chase you because they recognize the signature of divine ownership stamped on your life. Your existence now carries fragrance, the aroma of survival sanctified into strength. Wherever you walk, environments realign. Atmospheres settle. You are a vessel of holy equilibrium, restoring balance wherever there was chaos. That is your authority. The ones who once opposed you may still whisper, but their voices echo only among themselves. You are out of frequency, tuned to heaven's wavelength. Every attempt to drag you back fails before it begins, because you now dwell in the realm of access denied. Chosen one. This is permanence, not a fleeting victory, not a temporary truce, permanent dominion. You are established in peace as surely as mountains are established in earth. No human, no demon, no doubt can undo the decree written over your life. You are sealed, sustained, and sanctified. What began as warfare has ended in worship. The battlefield has become a sanctuary, and as heaven watches, you walk in stillness. The same voice that spoke light into existence whispers again over you, "It is finished." And now, beloved chosen one, the message comes full circle. December 7 was never just a date, it was destiny's doorway. You've walked through fire, silence, revelation, and victory. You stand radiant, steady, sealed. Heaven has completed what it began, and this final word crowns the journey. You made it. But remember, light was never meant to be hidden. The same grace that lifted you will lift others through you. When you like or share this message, see it as sending ripples of awakening across unseen waters. Somewhere, a weary soul scrolls through the noise, waiting for confirmation that God has not forgotten them, and your simple act can deliver it. If the words here stirred your spirit, comment below. Tell your story. Speak your truth. Breathe gratitude into the atmosphere. Each comment becomes a spark. Together, they form constellations of faith that stretch farther than any screen. And as you subscribe, you stay connected to the current of heaven's voice that flows through every message. Stay close. Stay luminous. Stay ready, because the same hand that brought you this far is still writing your next chapter. Walk in your light. Chosen one. Heaven is watching and smiling.